Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, want to welcome you back to another Jaggernaut Podcast. As always, it's Mike. Duval in there is my brother Franklin. Franklin, dude, we won. I did not feel very good.
Hell of a
going into
game,
the
too,
game.
really.
Yeah, I thought the Bills were a juggernaut, and I thought there was a potential for us to put forth that same effort that we put forth with Kansas City.
Right.
You know, where it was like we had a chance, but we never really had a chance.
Right.
If that makes sense. It's like the old Peyton Manning Colt days. You know, you never really felt like you had it locked up or were never really in it.
This was the first game of this season that it looked like the team from last year. That's what I think we saw against the Bills. And so what that tells me, and I do think the Bills are legit. Now, they did suffer injuries, and we can talk about that, some. But I think they're a legitimately really good team. So, I think that makes this victory all the more substantial. Because even, you talk about the Kansas City game, we didn't play up to what we were supposed to play, and we still, hung around in that game. So, and in fairness, I don't really think Kansas City played their best game either. But part of that, I think, is, I think our defense played pretty good against them.
Speaking of, let's talk about the defense, dude. So the defense didn't get a ton of sacks this game. But they applied pressure, and they got, 6 holding calls? I think it was something like 6 holding calls, right? So that's working. And that's just proof that you don't always have to necessarily get the quarterback on the ground to affect the game. We had another interception. I think we are doing very well on turnovers. I don't know the plus-minus differential.
Right.
But I would assume we're in the positive side.
Well, we had 2 turnovers on our own. Trevor did.
Well, not necessarily in that game, but for the season, I think we are consistently generating turnovers. And I think that's positive because those sudden changes, if the offense can click, if the offensive line can get together like we've been talking about, that's a dangerous combination. So I liked our defensive effort. I don't have anybody to poo-poo on this, this podcast. I just want to thank them all. Thank you all for putting forth a hell of an effort.
I think
I see it.
That's the biggest thing. And I think that if to a man, my guess is, and I don't think anybody really knows why this turns out this way. So the Texans game, what we saw there was garbage effort. It was garbage effort. Like, I'm sticking by that because this team here that we saw against the Bills that is a totally different team than the team that showed up for the Texans. Now, why it happened, I don't really understand that. And my point isn't to say, to try to, rain on the positive parade here with bringing up the Texans game. My point is to say, to bring out that effort comment that you made. That is exactly right because that's what it takes. Why it happened, I don't know, but that was effort on display. We all got to see it. It's displayed. We all see it. We understand it when we see it, and we understand the opposite when we see it too. And I think if they knew why they didn't come out correct in the Texans game, they'd fix it. The hope is that they fixed it. Like whatever it was. They got it out of their system. Hopefully they don't,
regress.
Yeah, regress. There's hills and valleys and seasons and things like that. So maybe it doesn't. Hope it doesn't get back to that. But yeah, I think the interesting thing about the defense was how stifling it was without really having the sack kind of situation. You did mention the fact that there were holding calls that helped out, but legitimate, like because they were getting pressure, and that does, indicate, well, maybe they didn't get the sacks because the Bills were holding. Maybe if they didn't hold, there would have been the sacks.
Right.
I mean, certainly our Josh Allen, had that sack, and they took that away. So that was one there that was a clear, win in regards to that category that you would like to have seen stay on the books. But it is what it is. They protect a quarterback in just the stupidest ways a lot of the time, except for our quarterback. I mean, our quarterback got hit in the head multiple times. I know the Bills fans think that the refs were really just terrible towards us, but actually, if you look back at the game, I didn't think the refereeing was terrible altogether in regards to the relative terms of how we've seen refereeing, and I certainly didn't see it being one-sided towards us in any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I mean, I think it is. I think at this point, they're just reaching for reasons why they lost. Their fans believe that they have the better team, and they have a great team. Not knocking. Every fan base should. Bills Mafia is a great fan base. But you win some, you lose some. It's the NFL. Sometimes there's reasons for that, and I understand that they had injuries, but we could have had those same injuries could have happened to us. Do you think that if we said, well, we lost Matt Milano or we lost Foye Oluokun, do you think that their fan base would give a shit? No, they wouldn't. They'd be like, no, you guys suck. You sucked against the Texans.
Yeah, right.
So, well, you sucked against the Jets.
Right.
So I don't buy any of that. It's any given Sunday, and it wasn't their Sunday. That's the way that I see it.
And I do think there is something to be said about the jet lag kind of situation, So
let me ask you. So I was talking to my wife about this, right? And yeah, her team has played in London too. 2 teams rolled out there on Friday night. One wins. Is the other one crying jet lag? What about the winners? Like, what does the winner say? You go through certain things in the season. The worst part about that, it wasn't jet lag. It was the fact that they took away a home game. The Bills lost a home game, and the Bills show up to support their team. So that's awful. But it's not about the jet lag. Because some teams show up and they dominate. It could be they're just greatly better. I mean, if you put like San Francisco and California or Carolina and send them out there on the same day, San Francisco should win even with jet lag.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but there are closer matchups that happen in London where both teams are technically at a jet lag disadvantage. And one team proves to be more dominant than the other. Did they sleep better on the plane?
Well, in fairness, but that wasn't the case here. And I think that this is what happens because it's not in a vacuum. So it isn't the Bills and when they showed up and their jet lag. It's them possibly having less time to acclimate and going up against another professional team that had that time. So yes, you can say it is fair if both teams have the possibility for jet lag or whatever you want to call this phenomenon. Then, because one team's going to win and one team's going to lose, do you then complain? Well, no, you can't complain. But in this case, they're up against a team that's been sitting there. So I give them that. Like, I do think that there is some possibility for that. Plus, they lost the home game in that whole deal. So in fairness, I do understand that. The problem I have with it, I'll be honest, it kind of falls on deaf ears to a certain extent because I see all the complaining. If they'd have won, would they be complaining?
No,
probably not. I have heard like our mutual Bills friend complain about this game before the match, but I got to be honest, on social media, I was shocked when the schedule came out, and I did not see more Bills fans upset about this, because I looked at that and saw, man, that's a clear advantage for the Jaguars. Right. And you didn't see them complaining about it. Now they're complaining when they lost, and that's the thing. It's like, I get the complaints. I wish they would have complained all the time, the whole time. The build up to it, and then even if they came in and won, said, yeah, but still, we should have never been in that situation. You know, I would appreciate that a little bit more, but to me, it does stink a little bit of sour grapes when you wait till you lose and then you go, oh, that's because, you know, of this. And it's like, well, just complain about it, because it does suck. And I don't like the whole London thing. I don't care about, like, you know, I know right now our franchise is married to London for a game every year at least, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, and I'm getting a little tired of it. And from a Jags fan's perspective, you can't get the specter of us moving to London now out of the picture, because we keep flirting with it. I mean, if you think about the concept of us sucking over here and then going to London and playing well, it's not a great look. So
no, that is true.
That's, you know, not trying to be negative, but
man, you are a Debbie Downer tonight.
Hey, I gotta bring the real.
I thought I was bringing the real.
Well, when you fail, here. I step up. It's
okay.
like
all
offense
right, well,
and defense,
fine, yeah.
You know, it's a complete game.
Good cop, bad cop.
It's the complete game, cop, right?
All right.
Which is what they did. By the way, they played a complete game, I would say. Both sides, all of the ball.
All three phases.
All the phases, yeah, there you go.
Yep, all three phases. Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Dude, this might have been his best game of the season.
Oh, it was. It
was.
was.
He was fucking Johnny on the spot. I think he had one bad overthrow. Like one overthrow.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Everything else,
dude,
that dude was on
dimes, man.
Point. I'm like, holy shit. That's the Trevor we know we have.
Yeah.
Right. So now here comes the problem. We know that's as good as he can, we know he can at least be that now.
Yep.
Now he has to maintain that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so now he has to maintain that. And I'm expecting him to, like I said. So kudos to Trevor, kudos to the wide receivers, kudos to the organization. It was a good win against a good team. So kudos there. All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about with this game?
Well, I would just piggyback on the Trevor thing in regards to maintaining it. I think I have an expectation that there's obviously going to be games that are not quite as good as what he just did there. It's unreasonable to think that every game moving forward will be like that. But I do expect now that we won't see quite the rust or whatever it was. Because remember now, Trevor honestly has been pretty good most of the season. Like, there's not a game that he's been bad. Like, I just don't think that at any point in the season it was him being the one. Like, we would have won if Trevor didn't have that stinky game, you know.
Right.
It's been everything around him, and the wide receivers came to play. So there's part of that. Like, other than, you know, it's like that one Zay Jones drop. For the most part, I think the wide receivers were just crisp. I mean, they look like they're everything's starting to get in sync. To your point about keeping that flow going, because I think now you can see that momentum starting to build, where whatever it was, why it didn't quite translate out the gates to start, but now they've got looks like they're in the fifth gear as far as that's concerned. I think it's only fair to talk about the offensive line. The truth is that we got all three of our tackles hurt in this game. Harris played through it. Little was out. and Cam was hurt for a while, and I think he didn't finish the game actually.
I don't think so.
Which, and he didn't play good. I mean,
He had some issues.
he had some severe issues. Epinesa sort of
Took him to
ate
school.
his lunch.
Yeah.
You know, and that you could say was rust, but we've seen that from Cam before. I mean, I know the team says he's a good player, and he has played good at times, but he's at the best he's an average left tackle in the league. And I think the only thing that this game did in my mind is accentuate how good Walker Little is and how poor everybody else is. Apart from Harrison, he had a bad game. He had some penalties and issues, but he did things that I think rookies do. In regards to what I see in regards to talent, though, I'm pleased with what I'm seeing with Harrison. So I think we're back to what we didn't get fixed was the interior line. The interior offensive line is still an issue on this team. But what we saw was Peterson's game plan, Trevor's execution, minimize that weakness. And that was what we were seeing last year, where this is the same offensive line. They were as good last year as what we saw in this past game, which is to say not that good. But we were able to succeed because of the fact that everything around the offensive line was picking them up, making it a little bit easier for them. When Walker Little was in the game, he was at left guard. That's the best interior line play we've seen all year from a guy who doesn't even play that position. And that's concerning to me. We've got to get those three guys playing. And Scherf, I know, has been a little bit better the past couple games, but he still had that one. He had that one Olay on the Zay Jones touchdown. So Trevor gets rid of the ball and scores a touchdown, and then he gets absolutely clobbered for it. Why? Because Scherf didn't even block the guy. Like, he just let the guy go right beside him. It's just like, you see that, and I don't understand it. Miscommunication, could be Fortner. I don't get it. This is a veteran guy. I'm really, he's got to get better. Fortner, I don't know if there's hope for him still. I guess of course there's hope for him, but I haven't seen his, this is second season, man. When are you going to get better, So it doesn't matter whether it's Shatley or Barch, that left guard position is garbage. So they've got to figure that out. So I don't know. I can't remember the guy we drafted, the hometown kid. I wonder when he gets.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
I wonder when he gets back, because they were really pleased with what they had in that guy, and I'd be to the point where I don't care if he's undrafted. Well, he wasn't undrafted, but I would not care if he's a low draft pick and a hometown guy. I would throw that guy in there because it cannot be worse than what we've seen from that left guard position. And that's a shame, because Shatley, everybody likes Shatley, but he just is not playing good either. Like when he replaced Walker Little, it was a noticeable, and he's played that position that and center his whole career, and that's the best he could do. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, look, we have already pointed out on multiple episodes the deficiency with the interior offensive line. Again, another strike against Bulky. We knew going in. We said it going in. He did nothing to fix it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other thing they didn't fix either was pass rush. We talked about how the defense is getting along without it, despite, not without it. They've got Josh Allen, who's playing amazing. We should sign the guy right now, by the way, to try to at least keep the cost down as much as possible. I would love for us to go out and sign another guy. I mean, there's got to be somebody, or make a trade. Like there's, they should be picking up the phone right now to try to get somebody in here. I don't want to break the bank. I don't know if it's possible for us to sign like trade for Daniil Hunter and sign both him and Josh Allen. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. You
Especially
know what I
when you
know?
got Trayvon looming. But
Here's what I know. Trayvon's a first rounder, so you can always give him a 50-year option to push him out. Here's what I know. If they want to find money, NFL teams find money.
Could you imagine if we had Daniil Hunter on the other side of and we rotated Trayvon in to spell those two guys, and then had Trayvon in on third downs? Trayvon, Josh, and Daniil Hunter.
Yeah.
That'd be good. And I will say this about Trayvon. He didn't jump most of the game. He was typical Trayvon to me. But there were a couple times where he looked a little different. Like he looked like a defensive end for a little bit. Like he was actually doing something angular, as opposed to stiff upright, like he tends to be. So hopefully, I don't know why it's so hard. I mean, I've never played that, so I can't, how am I, who am I to pass judgment? But I'm comparing professionals here, not me. So others come in and seem to be able to understand basics, and that was one of the things that I think Trayvon hadn't shown, like the basic pass rushing maneuvers, the whole repertoire. And now I like this game, he jumped a couple times at me where I was like, oh, okay, that looked like a pass rush deal right there. Didn't get home, but if you keep doing that, all of a sudden, maybe in the next couple games we go, oh, the light switch. So I know I went a little negative a few times, so I'm trying to give that was the positive that I did see. Maybe the light switch is possibly turning for Trayvon.
You better watch out, man. Positivity is contagious. I'm saying. Better watch out. You were supposed to be bad cop in this episode.
Well, we pick it up. So when the defense, defense lets them score, you come back and score.
The Colts, 1:00 game here. We know that the Colts have an issue here in Jacksonville. I don't know if that's going to continue. I believe it will. We will be going up against Gardner Minshew II.
Need a third?
Maybe he is. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, I think the Colts are actually a pretty decent team.
I agree, and they get Jonathan Taylor back.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that, really.
Not that Zach Moss has been a slouch. He's been tearing it up.
Well,
yeah, they got a good D line. It's basically exactly what we saw at the first game of the season. They have a good D line. They have decent linebackers. They have an okay secondary. Right? They have an okay offensive line. They have okay skill weapons, and they have a average game manager at quarterback at the moment.
Yes, with intangibles. Like, would you be shocked if Gardner Minshew's threatening to score in the fourth quarter?
No.
That's the type of quarterback Minshew is,
Yeah, like Minshew has games. Some games he plays really, really well. In other games, you're like, who the hell is that dude? I mean, he is the, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say this, but it's like he is either good and decent or he's just awful. And you don't know why from one week to another. And he was like that for Philadelphia.
Right.
So, and he was like that for us. So you don't know what Gardner Minshew you're going to get. Here's what I think. Gardner Minshew used to live in Ponte Vedra. Going back to Ponte Vedra the night before. Get wasted. Get wasted, man. Have you a few beers on the beach, like a case or keg. All right.
Natty
no big
Light.
deal, man. Yeah. Get you some Natty Light, man. Get on the beach. It's
Wear your
it's your
jorts
old
with a case of Natty Light.
It's your old stomping ground. Live it up. Live it up.
Well,
anyway, the team doesn't scare me.
The Texans didn't scare me either.
Well, that's true. So as long as we're not overlooking them, and I think we show up, I think we win this game.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be a close game, though. I don't see any sort of blowout, of any type. Yeah, because they're a good team. I think the AFC South's better than we thought.
I agree, but if the team that played in London against the Bills shows up this Sunday, it could very well be 38-13.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at.
I guess so. I'd be surprised by that a little bit.
I would be surprised because this looks like a letdown game. It looks like a trap game. It's a team that you think isn't very good. They're coming into your house. You just returned from London off a big emotional win, and now you have to get back to that point, whatever that point was. You have to get back there and you have to bring it again. And this is where a lot of teams falter. And this is where coaching comes in, because coaches have to be motivators, and they got to make sure that these guys understand it is a week-to-week league. Yep, it's great that you did that, but now that's last week. Right? Sweet. Congratulations. What are you going to do this week for me?
Yeah. Well, they have game film to look at from last week, and it wasn't the greatest. It's even though we won, there was definitely some
room for improvement.
So they could focus on that. I guess if you're a coach, that's what I'd be doing, is showing everybody how they sucked in certain ways last time, and hope that they I'll tell you what, Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy. That was his deal in Florida, wasn't it? He just gets on the field, gets hurt, gets on the field, gets hurt. So
it's weird. I was never big on him. I thought he was too high of a pick for his lack of experience, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah.
But the dude's a baller. The problem is that he's not a running back. And he takes hits like a running back. And man, that never ends well.
I don't know. He's huge, so. And he like 240 pounds?
Oh, he's big.
He's bigger than Ray. How much does Derrick Henry weigh?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, certain people, they just have a propensity to get hurt, and that's what I'm wondering if is his deal. So it's going to make it hard for him to get enough. If he can't stay healthy, it's going to be hard for him to get enough experience under center to maximize that athletic
his potential. His potential talent. Yeah.
So that's what the Colts have to worry about. But no worries, because they always have Gardner Minshew to fall back on. So I was hoping when Gardner came in, he would throw a little bit more to Michael Pittman, but because Michael Pittman was on my fantasy team. But whatever. Let's just say I believe enough in our defense. I am not playing Michael Pittman this week. So.
I don't have anybody on the Colts.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not lamenting that decision.
So, anything
all right,
else?
Brother, that's all I got, man. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you like what we have to say, hit the like, subscribe. As always, drop us a comment. We respond. We talk to fans when they want to talk.
Yeah. And, I would say also, if you stuck around this long, I'll just throw this out there. Probably pray for what's going on in the world with all the craziness that's out there.
Don't add politics to our podcast.
That's not politics. But I will say, I was kind of disappointed that nobody mentioned it in the games that I saw. I kind of thought that's a big deal, what's going on. So
people watch and listen to sports to get away from that.
I get it. I'm not saying focus on it. They said, they want to bring in like all the, see, now, I'm going to shut up.
I can't with you. Duval! Thanks for tuning in, guys.